Hello, Superboy Beyond fans. This is Chris Jacobsen and Tom Gallagher here with you, as always. We're going to do one of our patented unrelated commentaries today. And it was Tom's idea to do one of our other favorite sci-fi shows, Stargate SG-1.
I know I'm wearing my, Star Trek Voyager / early DS9 hoodie at the moment, but it's still Star something, and there's lots of Trek actors that showed up in Stargate over the years. I mean, Robert Picardo even became a series regular on Atlantis. But Stargate, love Stargate. We've talked about it a bunch of times. I think we've even cast several Stargate actors in our season 5 fan fiction that we're writing.
Who did we? Oh yeah, that's right. I think we chose Richard Dean Anderson for Ray Palmer, the Atom.
Yeah, and obviously we've got Christopher Judge, who plays Teal'c as John Jones, the Martian Manhunter, coming up. So, yeah, we're big fans of this show, and we're going to be watching maybe I know it's my favourite episode. I don't know about you, but I'm just a sucker for a good time loop story. So yeah, we're watching Window of Opportunity, which is season 4, episode 6 of Stargate SG-1. If this is your first time watching one of our commentaries, it's not like a typical reaction video. It's uncut. You'll see a little bit on screen potentially, unless it gets blocked, just to help you stay in sync with us watching the episode. But basically what we'll do is just count you in with a 3, 2, 1 play. And as long as you hit play on your DVD at the same time as we do, you should be able to watch alongside us uncut. So... this is the first unrelated commentary that we've done that's not Superman related, because obviously we've done the Ruby Spears episodes in the past.
Well, we have done that. We have done Garth Marenghi's Dark Place.
True. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. I'd forgotten we did that a while back. I don't think anybody watched it, but
while we didn't do commentaries on Strange New Worlds, we did discuss Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, that episode should be releasing literally about a week after we record this. So this will probably be delayed a little bit in the release schedule.
Yep.
But we'll see how it goes. Superboy's still our priority, but we like to jump in with the Beyond and do a commentary on something else every now and then.
And it's been a while since I actually watched this, so my brain is completely blank on the episode.
It's the time loop one. I'm sure as soon as we start watching it, it'll all come back to you. I think most Stargate fans will class this as one of at least the top 3 episodes of the show. But yeah, hope everybody will enjoy watching alongside us. We'll count you in now, and 3, 2, 1, play. And there's the MGM lion. It's funny. I know I'm probably going to end up just saying this a bunch of times, especially when we do more commentaries on Stargate, but I really do think it deserves to be mentioned in the same breath as Star Trek. I think in terms of sci-fi on television, I honestly, there's a lot of days where I'll say that it's equal to Star Trek in my eyes. It depends entirely on my mood, I guess, but I absolutely adore Stargate.
Yeah, and Richard Dean Anderson is so great as O'Neill. I mean, as much as I love Kurt Russell from the movie, he was pretty much almost a one-note character in that movie.
Yeah. And that's why, RDJ actually turned it down. Or RDA, rather. He turned it down initially because he saw the movie and was like, I don't want to play that character every week on television. And they was like, well, no, we'll let you do what you want with it. We'll let you reinvent the character. And I'm glad they did, because I'm not sure Kurt Russell's version of O'Neill would have been enough to carry a series. It was very much a storyline designed for one movie.
Although in the beginning of this series, Michael Shanks was essentially trying to imitate James Spader.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. Michael Shanks says in a bunch of like Comic Con panels and stuff that he feels like he was just imitating Spader for like the first 8 years, which I think is a little bit of a stretch. I think he did make the role his own a lot earlier than that. But yeah, it's one of those characters where I don't think, unless they had like without Michael Shanks, I don't think the show would have worked, because Daniel Jackson is kind of the heart of the team. But yeah, I think he's great. And he was good as Hawkman in Smallville as well.
Yes, he was. I like the fact that O'Neill, Richard Dean Anderson as O'Neill, he got to be a little bit funny on occasion.
Most of the time, he always had a sarcastic quip. And there's people out there that aren't so much a fan of that. I know there are sections of the fan base that think they went a bit too far with his quips at times, but I always liked it. It's basically why the character of John Shepard in Stargate Atlantis was essentially the O'Neill character. Very similar personalities. I gotta say, I always appreciate the set design in Stargate as well. Sure, the visual effects are a little bit dated, but I think they still hold up reasonably well.
Some of them are. Some of them.
Some of them. I mean, I would say they're every bit as good as the visual effects in like Star Trek Voyager or DS9. Although they did get a little bit dodgy when they switched from miniatures to visual effects, ships and stuff. But I think that was when they moved to sci-fi. They had to cut down the budget a little bit.
Yeah. But even when they moved to sci-fi, the story still remained.
Oh yeah, the quality of the storytelling never dropped. And I do know a funny thing about that shot with O'Neill with the Fruit Loops, because every time this time loop starts over, they figured there would be people looking for inconsistencies. What they essentially did is they glued all those Fruit Loops to the spoons so that they would be in the exact same position at the start of every loop, which is just an attention to detail that I just adore.
You can kind of tell they're glued because when he moved the spoon just now, they didn't shift.
Yeah. Totally worth it though, there were some fans looking for stuff like that as well, and I'm sure they had the biggest smile on their face when they saw that that they actually took the time to do that. It's funny as well, watching Stargate, I always get surprised at how long the early title sequence lasted. I always, for some reason, think that they changed it in the middle of season 1, but no, here we are at the beginning of season 4, and it's still the season 1 opener, which is essentially the title sequence from the movie, just reused. And yeah, Don S. Davis, obviously we had him briefly in the Christmas episode of season 5 as the father of Lois Lane.
Yes.
Although he hasn't actually appeared on screen outside of a photograph just yet, but he will. this is such a just fun comedic episode. But it's always nice watching the seeds of the trope begin. I can't imagine. I mean, I know back in the day, obviously they had like actual TV guide like magazines that told you what the synopsis of each week's episode was. So they probably knew it was the time loop episode. But I'd have to imagine there are still some people that purposely didn't look for spoilers.
Yeah.
And Star Trek Next Generation has a pretty good time loop episode as well. Even
Oh,
Discovery in its
yeah,
first season,
cause and effect. Yeah, I forgot about that one.
yeah, which actually predates Groundhog Day, which is interesting. But yeah, even Discovery had a good time loop episode in its first season. And it's so good that that Tilk knows what's going on as well, because I can't imagine Jack having much luck trying to convince the others if he didn't have somebody else alongside him. Yeah, that doesn't sound like Jack, does it?
No.
Yeah, maybe he read your report. No. But this is a really fun, inventive use of a time loop as well. There's a whole bunch of moments throughout this episode where, you know, it's very easy to let it be comedic and let the details drop, but they are so inventive in this episode with the comedy and the hijinks that go on. I adore this episode. They're starting to believe. It's too late, probably, but or at least we know it is for this loop. I should say I don't expect this episode to get that many views compared to our usual commentaries, just purely because I don't know how many Superboy fans are also Stargate fans, but I don't care.
Besides us.
Besides us, yeah. The fact is, I felt like watching an episode of Stargate today, so.
I just love watching Daniel and Jack as, straight man and funny man in the group.
And then you just have Tilk in the background as slightly crazy man.
Although right now Jack is kind of the slightly crazy man.
Mm.
And Dr. Fraser is just looking at them like they're all crazy.
Yeah.
Like she always does.
I love Dr. Fraser. She's the best doctor that was on the show. Although Atlantis had some good doctors as well. I do like Dr. Beckett. And the one that Jules State from Firefly played later on. I forget her character's name. Heller, I think. Jennifer Heller. One thing I always liked about this show is they had a lot of the same extras throughout the show. Like the guy that just bumped into Daniel, I'm pretty sure was one of the main stunt choreographers for the show, so he's in it throughout the entire show. but they start giving him little sight gags for people to look out for. Like later on in the show, there's if you watch out for that character, he's always walking around with a wrench that is comically huge.
Yeah.
It's just absurdly oversized. But yeah, I think it was a case where they made it as a prop for one episode, loved it so much they just had him walk around with it until the show was cancelled. Supposedly that wrench still exists as well. I think the actor has it.
I think he's really selling that this coffee sucks.
Yeah. I think he's also selling just how concerned he is about this and not being able to find a way out of the loop. Like, Jack is one of those characters that a lot of people that don't like the character will say that he is never serious and that's why they dislike him, but he's serious when it counts.
Well,
And
I really look at his overuse as humor as a defense mechanism.
definitely. And I think John Shepard in Atlantis has a very similar thing. And there we go. Uh-oh. I do like how this episode sort of starts quite quiet in terms of trying to get through the loop. And it just slowly devolves into lunacy. But it's still... Yeah. Like, it's a very Star Trek-y episode, this one, as well. Like, there's a lot of scenes around a briefing table, which is a very Star Trek thing.
Yeah.
The whole sci-fi premise. Like, Stargate has a very different tone, but they have some very similar plots to Star Trek, or at least plots that you can see moving over to Star Trek without needing much of a rewrite.
Gotta love Jack.
Oh, yeah. I remember the first time I saw this one, I was like, oh, maybe the loop is, maybe details are changing. But no, he just had his timing off very slightly. But that is always an interesting twist with a time loop episode, if something small changes and you don't know why.
Yeah, like the last loop for cause and effect on TNG when Data was stacking the deck.
Mm. Yeah, he was like giving them clues in the hands that they were getting in the poker game or something, weren't they? Something like that. It's been a while since I've watched that one. Maybe we'll have to watch that at some point soon. No, I think it'll be a few weeks until we do another Unrelated episode.
Teal'c just looks so ridiculous with that electronic thermometer in his mouth.
I love Teal'c. He's such a serious character, but there are so many just brilliant moments of comedy that come from him. Like, I don't think you can give Christopher Judge too much credit for his portrayal of Tilk. I think he just did a phenomenal job.
I forget. Does he in one of the loops? Does he push Daniel out of the way so he doesn't get hit?
Probably. Wouldn't surprise me though if he's letting Daniel get hit on purpose.
Well, Jack does have that
He's got to find some entertainment in this, surely.
but he also has a twisted sense of humor on occasion. Then again, that's what Bill Murray did in Groundhog Day.
Hmm. They always had some rather wonderful designs in this show. Just some of the establishing shots that they had over the years. But I think it works just purely because it's basically the same technology they were using for Star Trek, like right back to TNG sort of era. It's just basic scene extension, it's matte paintings and stuff. They're just the technology is just improved slightly, and the artistry in some of these shots are always impressive. Jack just has no time for this guy's bullshit, does he?
No. This is one of those moments where he's actually playing, Kurt Russell's O'Neill.
Yeah. Some people say that he abandoned Russell's portrayal completely, but there are elements here and there. There's an episode in the first season where Jack is basically cloned, and the clone goes back to his house because he's looking for his son or something, and it's like a whole story about him dealing with his grief. And it's one of the few episodes that Jack is purely dramatic. There's no comedy in that episode that I can think of. And he does a damn good job. And it was nice to see sort of him get a bit of closure because it meant that they didn't have to dwell on it all the time moving forward, which is always nice.
I think this is pretty much one of Richard Anderson's first real, and I hate to put it like this, adult roles. Because, MacGyver before this was kind of.
It's a comedic action
Yeah.
show for the most part. It's even an action show, I guess it is. I mean, there's enough things exploding.
Yeah. And then after that, he did the show Legend, which barely lasted a season.
Don't think I ever saw that.
Yeah. It had John Delancey from Star Trek in it. And he was in the Old West.
Sounds interesting.
It's kind of a steampunk, Old West show.
And Delancey was good in Stargate as well for the few episodes that he did before they got rid of him.
I forget, what did he play in?
He was like one of the people working for the government that wanted to shut down the program, and then it turns out he was trying to steal tech or something, and in the end I think he tries to betray humanity to join the Gould or something, and it's just, yeah. Wasn't the greatest plot line, but, Delancey played it very well. He just was never quite as memorable as Robert Picardo in his role.
Yeah. I just love that scene right when he dropped the spoon. It's like, oh, great, here we go again.
I just like that, as O'Neill is learning a little bit more each loop about what's going on, it's becoming easier and easier to convince them. Yeah, the moment he says, though, there's really no point in getting Doc Fraser to examine us. It's like, yeah, of course, that's the immediate next move.
And just the exasperated look on on Hammond's face.
And Tilks. But I just like what O'Neill just said there. He's just like says to the doc, he's just like, what could possibly be in my eye to explain all this? And see, look, Carter believes, because it's like, well, O'Neill doesn't use those terms correctly usually. Like, you have a hard time just getting him to remember those words, let alone remember them in context.
God, Don S. Davis was so great.
And what you asked a moment ago as well, he did just tell Daniel, you're better off in here, so I guess he is helping him avoid the corridor.
Yeah, I think he's had his fun now.
Hmm. Yeah, I just like that O'Neill is just getting more and more impatient as this episode goes along. And Tilk is mostly just standing there trying to
Like he
meditate,
always
I
does.
guess.
Like he always does.
Yeah. Tilk probably would have made a very good Vulcan. He is very in control of his emotions most of the time.
Although that episode with Erica Durance where he moves into the neighborhood and she's in the apartment next door and she's getting beaten, he wasn't really in control of his emotions at that moment.
No. That was a good episode, though. I always forget that she was in the show ever. Maybe I need to watch that one again soon. Uh-oh. Here we go again. Like, honestly, I'm amazed that Jack is as calm as he is. Like, okay, he snaps a little bit every now and then, but yeah, he holds it together surprisingly well for the situation.
Well, as we later find out, in the course of the series, he is a fan of Star Trek. So
Hmm.
I think part of him, that little Trekkie that's in him is like, oh wow, I get to live a Star Trek episode.
Yeah. I do love the episode when they have like Earth builds its first ship, and they're just like, "Sir, they're not going to let us call it the Enterprise." He's like, "Why not?" It's like, yeah. To be fair, if I was to build a spaceship, I would name it the Enterprise too.
Well, remember what the Star Trek fans did in 1976 with the space shuttle.
Mm. Yeah, if NASA can get away with it, that's not going to be easy with Jack. Tilk might have a shot though. I mean, Tilk's quite an intelligent guy. I'm sure he's good at memorization and stuff. I do love how focused they were in the writing of this show and getting the technobabble to sound believable.
Yeah.
Like Samantha Carter as a character is one of those ones that can deliver technobabble with the best of them. Like she would have made a very good Starfleet officer, I'm sure. It's
Well,
yeah,
we kind of saw her make a good Starfleet officer in that's I think it was a season 10 episode when Willie Garson's character came back.
right, yeah, very briefly, yeah, that's a good episode as well. But I put a lot of the fact that Amanda Tapping was able to do the technobabble so well down to the fact that it is known that she at least would do enough research so that she understood what the technobabble would mean, and that's how she was able to do it, which I don't think a lot of actors on television would have taken the time to do. I appreciate just how dedicated she was to making the character believable. I love this. Teal'c opens every loop with getting hit in the face with a door. Just love it. I do love this sequence, just showing all the loops. Now, this thing with the juggling, I do happen to know, was originally not in the script, but while shooting this episode, they realised that you know, both those actors could juggle, so they just decided to write it into the episode. I do love this moment. Yeah. Like I said, he was holding it all together quite well, but the cracks are showing more and more.
can see the frustration in his face.
Hmm. Just like making a face on the plate is just great. That is dangerous information to a man like Jack. And now comes the hijinks. Oh, I love this. Yeah, that's definitely got to be a record. And it is the Groundhog Day thing. He's acquiring skills. Like he now knows how to do pottery and stuff. I still find it weird what Jack chooses to wear when he's off duty. Such a bizarre wardrobe choice. I love it. That's one thing. If they win, hopefully if they bring Stargate back one day, I hope they keep the old continuity because I want to find out if Jack and Sam ever actually ended up together.
Probably not.
The main reason they didn't was because one was the other's immediate superior in terms of the military. Maybe if they both reached the same level, they could. I don't know. It's one of those things. I don't usually get involved in fan bases and shipping characters and stuff, but Sam and Jack are something special. There we are. Now we've got a plan. It's quite a simple set, really, if you don't count the map paintings in the background. But it's quite a unique looking one as well.
Yeah. looks like they're not the only ones who learned.
Hmm. That's something as well with this show. They were never afraid to get meta. Like they just have O'Neill outright come out and say the words Groundhog Day at some point. I think a lot of other shows, especially a lot of these sort of genre shows, they don't like referring to other things that have done it. Like it's how in zombie movies you very rarely actually hear the word zombie because apparently zombie fiction doesn't exist in any of those universes, except for Shaun of the Dead, maybe, but that's an exception.
Yeah.
I always liked how unafraid they were on Stargate to get meta with this sort of thing. I do like that they made the guy sort of a sympathetic villain. You understand his motives once it gets there. I also like that the whole resolution just comes down to talking the guy down. They probably didn't even need to learn that much about the device, really. They just needed to have this conversation. But
Yeah.
maybe they needed the context to get there. It's a very comedic episode, but it's rooted in real drama, which I appreciate. And there again is another echo of the Kurt Russell version of the character. And it's over. Hmm. Yeah, as I said, quite a silly episode at times, but I think the ending has a real heart to it. There's something very emotional happening there, which I think is what takes this episode from being a good one to a great one.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Now he's got something else for breakfast. I've always liked that as well.
Well, look at the size of the spoon he's eating it with, though.
Mm. She knows. She's worked it out. And there we have it. Window of Opportunity, which is, I think, my favourite episode of SG1. If it's not my favourite, it's at least top three.
Yeah, it's been so long since I watched this.
Yeah, it's a great one. I don't know if I have much else to say about it that I haven't said during the episode itself. Um, I know one thing we always like to point out when we do our commentaries is like pointing out when actors return, and the main actor that the guest star that was in this episode, I know that he appeared in either a season 9 or 10. I forget what the episode was. I think it was one of those sort of like there's a disease outbreak storylines in a town, and they have to help save the day or something. I don't remember. I do remember seeing him come back a few seasons later though, which happened a lot with Stargate.
Season 9 and 10, that was the Ben Browder seasons.
Yeah, it was definitely during the Ori sort of storylines. But because I do remember that he was in one of the sort of medieval looking villages, because obviously they switched from Egyptian theme to medieval at a certain point. Suddenly we started having like Merlin and Camelot and stuff like that.
Mm.
Yeah, this is just a great episode, and I realise Superboy fans that subscribe to the channel, this isn't what you subscribed for, but we're releasing this as a bonus. This will be released on a Friday, and so tomorrow on the Saturday you will have just a regular Superboy episode as usual.
Yep.
But yeah, I think it's fun every now and then. We'll just venture out into our other fandoms. Don't know when we'll do another Stargate. Probably will be a while, but I do know the next, unrelated podcast that we're going to do will be like doing the next few episodes of Strange New Worlds, because we're quite enjoying watching that, and not quite reviewing it. We're just sort of just discussing what we like about it, what we don't like. It's not so much a review with Strange New Worlds, but I'm having fun with it, so we're going to keep that going.
So am I.
Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to tune in again next week, and we will see you then. Leave us a like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.